Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Spincast. Today, we're diving back into the world of collegiate esports. Joining us is Alex Gunnerson. He is the director of the esports program at Randolph-Macon College. So without further ado, Alex, go ahead, introduce yourself, give us a little bit of your backstory. Tell us, where your passions in esports and gaming started and kind of how that led you to becoming the director at Randolph-Macon.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. At least it's morning here for sure. I just woke up not too long ago. But I played competitively League of Legends in college at Miami University, which I guess is although it is a mid-sized school, it definitely is one of the best esports programs in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went on to work for Collegiate League, C-Star League for specifically. Hosted a slew of different events. I also did some in-person events with All Mid. And then now I work here at Randolph-Macon, which is a small private liberal arts school that has a whole 6-game field of varsity esports.
Awesome. That's been awesome. I love to see kind of like that pathway. You played and now you're bringing your passions and your experience to teach the next generation, which is awesome to see. Take me through kind of the more specifics of the esports program. Tell me, what teams you have, what games do you play in, what competitions do you play in, and tell me all that, the more detailed stuff.
For sure. We have League of Legends, Hearthstone, Fortnite, CSGO, Overwatch, and Rocket League. It's always tough to get all 6. So we have about 40 students total in the program. Overwatch and Fortnite have B teams, and that's really what I'm trying to grow because we are such a small school. I'm trying to grow as much as we can so that we can reduce the skill gap between some of the players. A lot of these small schools you'll see, it might be like a diamond level player and a bronze level player because they're just getting whatever they can to field a team.
Mm-hmm.
But as we can expand and get B teams, we can put some of the more casual players on the B team and some of the more tryhards on the varsity team.
Yeah, absolutely. And then kind of gives everyone that platform for the more casual people that want to play, get better, but they're not uber competitive, right? And it gives the varsity
For sure.
players that way. That kind of leads to my next question of, bring me through kind of that duality of gaming versus esports and kind of how you operate. You kind of touch on it a little bit there, but expand on the differences and, how your program kind of addresses both.
Yeah, because you think about it, maybe top 5% of gamers are good enough to play at a top collegiate level.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that leave for the other 95%? So I'm really trying to build an opportunity for them too, because that was me too. Honestly, when I came into college, I wasn't diamond freshman year. I was a silver player, and I came in on the B team. And I was able to work my way up through college. And I think that gave me that opportunity because maybe I wasn't great at sports, but it still gave me an opportunity to compete. And some people, they want to just continue gaming, and that's fine, casually. But a lot of people, more than you would think, want that team aspect. Solo queue is not the most fun thing in the world. So a lot of people prefer playing as 5 or 6, whatever the game is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that brings me to kind of the next topic that I always love to touch is that sense of community that you were just talking about, having that platform for players to come and play in and be part of those teams that they missed out on in high school or they were never really part of because they always had that solo queue grind. So take me through your experiences, both as a player when you were playing at Miami, Ohio, and also now as a coach, as a director. Take me through how that sense of community has developed over the last, 5-6 years from, really esports was a lot of, more individual mentality. There wasn't a lot of sense of community there, but now there's so many platforms and programs like yours to really elicit that. So take me through your experiences in the light of community and anything that kind of pops out to you.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And it's interesting because I don't want anyone to feel bad, but it was arguably better back then because we didn't have as much online play. So it was just so much in person. I used to play Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you that have seen the documentary, it was genuinely you and your buddies get in a car, you drive a couple hours to some tournament. So it was super fun, and there still is aspects of that. It is not as often. We try Randolph-Macon to go maybe once a year because that's for me the most fun part of college was just all getting in a bus together and just driving, maybe staying in a hotel room or something. And then here at Randolph-Macon, we also have the arena, which is 16 state-of-the-art computers, this whole cave of gaming. And it's 24/7. So people are always in there hanging out, maybe taking a nap on the couch or just studying in between classes.
Yeah, that's awesome. I always love to see those right? Those arenas, because they're so great because it just provides that place for everyone to hang out, like you're just saying. But you did bring up a really interesting point of the online tournaments versus LAN tournaments, right? And in kind of my opinion, I love LANs, right? I think it provides so much more. But obviously right now with COVID, everything's online. And it's a little bit easier to play online regardless of COVID anyway, because you don't have the logistics of making a LAN tournament. But what do you think, in your opinion, kind of separates the two for opportunities wise? Why do you like, the LAN opportunities so much more than the online tournaments that you can compete in?
That's a good question. So something I've really been pushing with my teammates or my my teams is to diversify their friendships more, because I want it to be more than just the game. Like if your friendship is based only on the game, a losing streak will really kind of take a toll on it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can like travel, for example, maybe there's just like food, you're doing so much more than just playing the game in the arena. So when you diversify that friendship and you have so much more in common than just the game, that those losing streaks like don't feel as bad, and it's a much stronger friendship.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's actually a phenomenal point, that you have to have those friendships exist out to the game, just like you say, so they last, right? Because I mean, there's been plenty of nights where I get frustrated at my friends of like, we go on a losing streak, we lose a few ranked games, and all of a sudden it's like, what is going on? You get angry. You're like, why aren't you doing this? Why didn't you get this kill? Why didn't you hit that shot or whatever? And all of a sudden you're like, okay, let's just go. Let's take the night off. Go get a bite to eat or whatever. And you realize like, hey, okay, we're actually friends in real life. When we went and talked about sports or whatever else there is to talk about a ton. So totally agreed there. Kind of focusing a little more back on the program itself. Take me through what a practice day looks like, right? A lot of our audience are high school students that don't really know what collegiate esports looks like in person. So take me through what a day of practice looks like. What do you focus on? What areas do you try to get better at as your teams continuously improve to try to win championships?
For sure. So it's cool because I try to make it vary for the teams, and I try to work with the teams individually doing like team meetings. But I think there's like three cores of esports in my opinion, and that's like the micro, macro, and mental. So you could need to improve on any one of those or all three. But so micro might be more of an individual practice. It's really cool how the games have evolved and now have all these custom training modes and training packs where you can go in and like work on your individual play. Then macro, what I love to do is VOD review is super underrated. I'm still trying to push some of the teams to do it because they may not know how to. So I'm trying to help walk them through until they can really buy in of the value of watching your own videos. That's VOD review is basically like watching your old games, figuring out what you did wrong. So very good for the macro. And then the mental, if we're stressed out, if we're angry, if we got tests and stuff, maybe we just have like a fun practice and just really cool off and reset.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those three kind of pillars or cores, as you said, are really important, right? Your both individual skills, your team skills, and then the mental health is massive, right? Because I think it's kind of, in my opinion, where esports is that traditional sports in a sense, is that mental stress and the mental acuity and the cognitive attention and understanding you have to excel in these very complex games is really important, but also it can become very overwhelming very fast. So taking that step back is super important. An interesting question I wanted to ask is kind of what changes on a competition day? Is there any pre-game rituals that you guys go through or pre-game traditions that you find really, helpful and maybe calming nerves or just preparing for the matches as you approach important match days?
That's a good question. There's honestly not too much different. We try to treat our scrims very seriously, where we focus in. I know sometimes maybe during like more of the lax practices, people like just open up YouTube and watch like some videos in between games. But just focusing in 100%, resetting. That's my biggest thing is in between games. Like we had a scrim last night. It was like an overtime match. It was like super high intensity. And then after it's over, I told the team, like, it's so important. You just have to take a breath, like stand up, stretch, like just walk away for a second to reset. Because like when you're going crazy like that, it's really hard to start another game.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of that's on that same note of like the mental health side of things, right? Even if it's 2 minutes, a deep breath, a slight walk, that helps so much, increases the blood flow, maybe get a bite to eat, calm your nerves down. And I think a lot of players kind of undervalue that in a sense of like, they don't realize that like, wow, I'm really frustrated. I'm going to take a little bit of a break, but like that little bit of a break is that mental health reset. A lot of people just don't realize that's what they're doing. They're practicing it actively, but they don't realize like this is actually helping me. And kind of, I think expanding that or helping them expand that's obviously fantastic.
Awesome.
Kind of looking at a kind of a recruiting aspect. So switching gears a little bit is talk me through your process of getting new players in. Obviously, in college, there's no set teams because everyone, graduates eventually. Hopefully, all the colleges say in 4 years, not 5, not 6. But take me through kind of, what your vision is in trying to get new players into your program, whether it's adding more players that are already at the university or trying to get players to come to your university, college to compete.
Yeah. So definitely, like I said, I'm trying to get as much as I can. Like, and everyone is welcome here. I think everyone has the potential. And that's what you've seen. Like, I've maybe recruit maybe 15 people a year. And there are a couple people that varsity esports is just not meant for them. Like, they are true casual players. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just have to get as much as I can. And some of the people, like, I thought were very casual and they thought were very casual, end up falling in love with esports. So I love those like potential recruits that I get. But honestly, it starts off with just sending out like mass emails, and then maybe we'll get like trickles back, and we try to just really engage with those players, do meet and greets with the team, really play with them and get to know them. And then what we're trying to do is this winter do a esports combine where we get just everyone together. I think it's gonna be really cool because it's gonna be the first time we try it. Just like any like NFL combine, get everyone together, do some like drills, do some interviews, do some scrims for like 5 hours on some Saturday, and just really get to know these players at like a really core level.
That's awesome. I love to see that you're focusing on the outside of the game perspective with the interviews and seeing how they interact as a team. Because, we all know that there can be crazy skilled players, but they might not be the best teammates, so to say, right? Trying to make sure that they're the right fit for Randolph Macon is very important. That's awesome. Looking at collegiate esports kind of broadly, I think you have a great kind of unique perspective since you were a player and, now you're a coach and you also worked in CSL. Take me through kind of where the competitive landscape is right now and what you think might need to be changed or improved, because collegiate esports is big, it's growing, but it's not the NCAA yet, right? And that's a whole nother little topic on itself, is their involvement in esports. But take me through kind of what those structures look like right now, and maybe some of the changes or improvements that you want to see to really help collegiate esports continue to grow.
I'm so glad you asked that, because this is something I've been preaching for a while. In my opinion, I think the biggest thing holding collegiate esports back is the skill gap. We just don't have great divisions yet. Some tournaments like ECAC has done a great job of doing more Swiss brackets. For those of you that don't know, it basically means you play against someone with the same record as you. So if you're 0-5, you're playing against another team that's 0-5. So it does hopefully get easier, and you play against teams your skill level. I'm on the competition council for NACE, and NACE is making a great strides. They're really taking the lead with collegiate esports. And what we're pushing for, we're hopefully like one more year away, is really getting divisional play, where you can have like the diamond people play in a league together and have the silver people play in a league together. Otherwise, you get a lot of one-sided stomps. And it ends up being like these scrims that I talk about, like last night. You play against teams that are your level, and you get some really fun, high-intensity matches, but then maybe game day, you're playing against just one-sided either way.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's an interesting point, because there's so much to unpack. It's kind of like, the traditional models by size. Usually the bigger the school, the more scholarships they have, tends to gravitate more better players. That's why you see the SEC in football kind of really massive. But dividing it by rank in esports, I think it's a really great idea. And I hope they can pull it off, because that'll help so much and give so many more people that competitive opportunity that they obviously don't have right now, because so many matches are one-sided. We are unfortunately running out of time here, but kind of looking at the entire global esports industry as a whole, what do you think, needs to continue to change or improve or just stay the same to really kind of catapult the esports industry even further? Obviously it's growing so fast, it's already so big, but it's not quite mainstream, right? We were talking about before that we started the recording, was that, there's still that mainstream kind of perception that esports, all it is competitive gaming, right? When there's so many more jobs, so many more opportunities, so many more pathways involved in it. So, what do we need to do better as, either colleges or businesses or individuals in the esports world to really help continue to grow and change those perspectives, so many more people realize that, like, hey, esports is a great platform, it's a great industry, we should get more involved and pay more attention?
Yeah, it's funny. I've never actually thought about it too. What I would say is, for me, what got me into it was TSM Legends, which is almost like a reality show for the team, where it really builds good content and a storyline. Whereas almost like on game day, I'm watching like my TV show. I'm watching how my characters are doing, if they're winning or losing, more than just watching gameplay. I think that's where it gets really linear. But do you have any input? Like, what do you think the esports field needs?
It's I think a lot of it is more kind of education and knowledge outreach. I tell this a lot, because I talk to a lot of parents, and it's no one's fault. They just were never really involved in it, right? And I think a lot of it is there's this barrier of understanding because esports titles, the big ones, League of Legends, Overwatch, CS:GO, they're very hard to watch. The FPS is a little more easy because it's easy, like, okay, person A kills person B, match over. But there's a little more simple. Like League of Legends, like I put a little bit of time into it, and at the higher level, if you don't stay involved with it actively and kind of play the game, and like new heroes come out, the meta shifts, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't know what's happening. Like, I understand what your goal is, right? Kind of destroying the towers and getting the runes, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, like all these new characters and new metas, it's very difficult for the outsiders, so to say. It's kind of a poor word choice, but the people that aren't as involved to continuously watch. So I hope to see kind of the more people in the industry like ourselves kind of embrace, mom or dad or, my friend that's seen me play, but they don't really know it. Sit down and kind of explain it to them more in more average terms, with comparisons and stuff to really help them understand what's going on. And I think over time we'll see that as more people get involved. And I think, games like Rocket League is really great. Car soccer, right? Everyone could follow that. Yeah. I've walked into, taverns and sports bars where Rocket League's on, and it's like, everyone's watching it because it's easier to watch, right? But if League of Legends was on, people would be like, what? I don't.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Good point.
Yeah. It's interesting to see. And I'm excited to see it continues to grow. But I will leave you with one last question before we run out of time is, what's your vision for Randolph Macon? What do you hope the program looks like in 3 years? More teams, bigger number of kids, or a bigger arena? Kind of what are your short-term goals to continue to grow the great program that you have at Randolph Macon?
For sure. So right now, my biggest plan, I'm super lucky. I only have 3 graduating seniors right now. So I'm really hoping to blow this program up next year. Really just get a lot of recruits in here and then get B teams for every single game. And honestly, maybe keep expanding to like C teams and really build a level for every single type of gamer. And then our arena, it maxes out at 50 people. So I'm already at 40, which means they told me whenever we expand past 50, we get to upgrade. They're going to build us a whole new arena. Hopefully we can get some expansions, maybe like a little kitchen, office for me would be awesome, like a commentator's booth and everything, and really just get a whole new arena, upgrade, and we're going to rock it.
Awesome. I'd love to see that. I love the arenas that are like all inclusive, right? They have obviously the high-end gaming machines, but then they have the offices, they have the production suites, which I love. That's kind of one of my passions, having the booth for the casters and the production setup for the production guys to, do their magic over there. And then also, making it even more homely for the players to have a kitchen, have a lounge area, all that kind of great stuff. Absolutely love to see. And I hope maybe, after COVID, I'll get up there one day and we can visit. But down the line, obviously, who knows what's happening with COVID. But ultimately, thank you for coming on the Spincast with me today. Absolute pleasure sitting down and speaking with you, Alex. Real quick, if you will, plug yourself, plug your program, plug Randolph Macon. Where can we find you on social media, websites, et cetera, et cetera?
Let's go. We are at RMC Esports. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we got Twitch. We're streaming all the time. We've got like 7 games a week coming up here in late September. So check us out. We are in Ashland, Virginia, and we're a small private liberal arts school looking to grow.
Awesome. Yeah, everyone go give them a shout. Keep up to date with them. I know, seeing the previous success, I hope to see it continue, especially as there's so many more kind of opportunities in that collegiate space now, more so than ever, especially now that more colleges are buying into esports since, COVID kind of making traditional sports less easy to do, to say the least. But yeah, to all our audience, thanks for staying the entire time. Stay healthy, stay happy. Obviously, take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones during the current pandemic, these difficult times, and ultimately, stay plugged in.